All right, here we are, fully clothed and all. Sorry, YouTube, no excuses today. Welcome one and welcome all to the Junk Shop Library channel, home of the wildly unpredictable schedule and of improv Bible study. The Atheist Bible study where we read it all, riff on it all, and don't treat it with a great deal of respect. Modern humanist atheist people are we, and I am unanimous in this. Thank you all so much for coming. Oh, thank you all so much for coming. Old Junk Shop has had a bit of a day. Whew. All right, I'm just going to give you sort of my day in brief, just so that you sort of have an idea of what Old Junk Shop's been dealing with. First thing this morning, we were fighting with technology. I won't tell that story because that's really Julie's story about Julie's battle with technology, and not really my tale to tell. Then I went to work where I fought with technology because it's a new gig and I'm learning new computer systems and softwares and stuff and such, phones and all. And then I went on my lunch break and I found in my email an email that said, y'all are just gonna have to forgive me, I'm Old Junk Shop's at an impasse with Old Junk Shop. Oh, hey, Fran. Hey, Brain Bug. Good to see y'all. Thank y'all for coming. And y'all are in sensible time zones. Lydia, hadn't you ought to be in bed? All right. So I went on my lunch break. I checked my phone. I've got, y'all know how it is when you leave your technology alone for more than about 5 minutes. Your notifications stack up from about halfway here to the fucking moon. Oh, so, no. Let me go ahead and Diana. Let me cut that off at the pass. I did not, in fact, get sacked. No, I'm still employed. Huzzah! Huzzah! Hooray! Hooray! And hurrah! But I checked my email. And I've got an email from YouTube saying, your content has been removed. And I said, what in the world? What content have I made that's removable? It's Bibles and fish. Occasional rants against government employees. Those come around about once every 18 months. I went into the email. It said, your content has been removed for violating our sex and nudity clause. And I thought, okay, now I know for goddamn sure there's been a mistake. Because like the most YouTube has seen of me is my shoulders if I'm wearing my weird little top. The hate preacher, it could be that. Yep. I didn't even think about that one. But I didn't even specifically say anything specific during that one. So I don't know. Yeah, Lydia, hashtag employed crew. Amen. I know you've been looking to join that crew for a while. Congratulations once again.
I'm walking over to buy jeans because I have to be on the factory floor tomorrow.
Oh my goodness. Okay, be safe, sweetheart. All right, so the sex and nudity clause, it said. And so I looked to see what had been taken down, and it was this stream, or rather the stream that this one went up to replace. I think the title was Ezekiel Bonkers Junkshop Back, which I thought was a catchy little title. Well, it was the thumbnail. I had used a little piece. If you're not following Bosch Bot on Twitter, you're missing some daily joy out of your life. BOSCHBOT tweets out tiny little fragments of the enormous paintings of Hieronymus Bosch. Just like every couple of hours or so, which they can do because these paintings are freaking enormous, and they do tweet out indeed tiny, tiny, tiny little pieces in stupid high resolution. Many of which I have downloaded because they're 500 years old, and I use them periodically as thumbnails. Well, the one I used today had a sort of vaguely humanoid silhouette of somebody obviously not wearing clothes, balanced on some kind of machinery with a demon in the background. Apparently YouTube won't even have implied partial nudity. Even if it's from a 500-year-old painting you can get as a jigsaw puzzle on Amazon. He who has ears, let him hear. So, I appealed it. I've never appealed having a video taken down before. I've had one taken down once before for a sort of similar weirdness. I don't even remember what now. And I had a copyright claim, not a copyright strike, a copyright claim made against me for the old trailer. I don't think anybody in the chat right now has been with me since I was using the old trailer. I'm just as glad now because there's a lot of fucking facial hair in that trailer, and I don't necessarily have a good reaction to the way I looked back then. But I just used some stock music that came with the editing software that I use on the very rare occasions when I use editing. So, hey, Ox, good to see you. Have I already missed you on the pigsty? Was that earlier, or is that tomorrow, or when? I'll watch it after the fact, even if I don't get to watch it live. I don't hardly know what day it is right now. So yeah, I was copyright claimed against on that video by somebody who had used the same stock music on a video of theirs. I said, well, forget you, I'm not playing this game, and I stripped the audio. I said, well, fine, we can play. And then I got tired of even that amount of concession, because Old Junkshop don't concession too good, and just privatized the video. It's not even available anymore. And the so anyway, that was at lunch. So I dealt with that. Then lunch was over, and I fought with technology the rest the rest of the day. And then I got off work, and I still hadn't had any response. Big surprise. We all know they don't have any actual humans at work at YouTube right now. It's all robots, which is why the Hieronymus Bosch thing got flagged. I appealed it just sort of on principle, because it's bloody art, for heaven's sake. They did give me the courtesy of not putting a strike against my channel, because they said, you may not have known that this was against our policy. I was like, well, that's very condescending of you, but it's very kind of you anyway. I didn't actually say that to them, because Old Junkshop is many things, but painfully stupid, Old Junkshop is not. So anyway, then by the time I got home and got this, and I had to stop and run a couple of errands on the way home, I got home, I set up this stream. Thankfully, I don't change much in the description from stream to stream in the same series. And I was and am tired and frustrated, which is why I put out the Twitter appeal for folks to come hang out with me. And I appreciate y'all for doing so. I truly, truly do. Strauss? You get copyright claims for using Strauss? Surely. I mean, Strauss has to be in the public domain by now, right? Right? I mean, almost regardless of which Strauss. Richard or Johann or... Yeah, I figured. Okay, well, good gracious. Okay. See, that's even more ridiculous. All right, well. I got home, I got this set up, and then I flipped over the tab to look at my analytics. It was cranky at me. It had the big, bold print, and it said, your views are down 45% since last week. And I thought about what happened last week, and then I realized what happened last week. I was stuck inside because of the snow, so I streamed like 9 times over the course of those 7 days, and then also put up all the fish videos. So, unsurprising, and not as scary as it looked like it was for a minute. And now I have vented, and now we're good. I appreciate all y'all. Y'all don't even know, for coming out and for sticking around and listening to me bellyache and moan about my struggles with technology. All right. So we're going to get to Ezekiel. We are. I just had to get that. Just had to get that out of my system. Speaking of appreciating people, y'all know there's a little cadre of folks I especially must express how much I appreciate, because they give me dinero. Why? I'll never know. But the folks whose names you see streaming at the bottom of the screen right now are my Patreon supporters. They have made this bizarre little enterprise upon which I embarked more than 2 years ago possible over the course of the last year. Possible to continue and possible to expand. And I really and truly cannot thank each and every one of y'all enough. I know I don't usually do every name, but I'm going to today. Atheist Pastor, Aunt Jer, B, Bill, Black Sofa, Brainbug, Diana, Espresso Cat, Greg, Godless Granny, Junie the Apostate, Kim, Linda, the Lone Wanderer, Microraptor, Mark Caesar, Paul, Rain, Robert X, Santee, Wild Eden, and one person I was taking a breath during, and I am so sorry. Thankfully, I didn't promise on Patreon I'd do y'all in alphabetical order. Lone Wanderer, Mark Caesar, Microraptor, Nikki, of course, and Ox. Thank y'all. And in a special and particular, y'all know I got to shout out my inability to find the right tab. And also, the members of my top 2 tiers over on Patreon, Captain Kimothy, Bill, and my very first patron, infamous atheist activist, the one and only Mr. Paul Camish. These folks have gone so far above and so far beyond in their support of the channel. It blows my mind, continues to blow my mind every month, and I really and truly just can't shovel enough thanks or do enough catechism streams to thank y'all. All righty. Y'all ready for some Ezekiel? Maybe even get some smiting? Oh, that was next door. Sorry, I heard a peculiar noise and had to freeze for a second. It was not, I was not junk shopping. I was just actually mentally frozen. Thank you, Ox. I do appreciate that. I do love to entertain, in case y'all hadn't noticed. Am I a recovering Catholic? No. No, I am an apostate United Methodist, which is one of the things that makes my catechism stream so interesting for me, because, quite frankly, I never know what's coming when I turn a page in this fucking thing. Sunday mornings at noon, just a reminder for those of y'all who are members of the Patreon family, and available, as always, through the link on Patreon that I sometimes actually remember to put the correct link and properly for. And as always, through the patrons only playlist here on the YouTubes. All right, Ezekiel 9. Y'all ready for this crap? You better be by now. Old Junkshop's been blathering on about Old Junkshop's self for the last 18 minutes. Sweet fancy Moses. What have I done to my I found my glasses, but I seem to have sat upon them. Always something here in the library. Like I always say, I normally try to avoid prop humor, but sometimes it seeks one out. Lopsided. All right, chapter 9. See what old Zeke seeth now. He cried also in mine ears with a loud voice, saying, Cause them that have charge over the city to draw near, even every man with his destroying weapon in his hand. Promising. And behold, 6 men came from the way of the higher gate, which lieth toward the north, and every man a slaughter weapon in his hand. And one man among them was clothed with linen, with a writer's inkhorn by his side, and they went in and stood beside the brazen altar. And the glory of the God of Israel was gone up from the cherub, whereupon he was, to the threshold of the house. And he called to the man clothed with linen, which had the writer's inkhorn by his side. And the Lord said unto him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the foreheads of the men that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others he said, in mine hearing, go ye after him through the city, and smite. Let not your eye spare, neither have ye pity. Slay utterly, old and young, both maids and little children and women. But come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Then they began at the ancient men who were before the house. And he said unto them, defile the house, and fill the courts with the slain. Go ye forth. And they went forth, and slew in the city. And it came to pass, while they were slaying them, that I was left. And I fell upon my face, and cried, and said, Ah, Lord God, wilt thou destroy all the residue of Israel in thy pouring out of thy fury upon Jerusalem? Then said he unto me, the iniquity of the house of Israel and Judah is exceeding great, and the land is full of blood, and the city full of perverseness. For they say, the Lord hath forsaken the earth, and the Lord seeth not. And as for me also, mine eye shall not spare, neither will I have pity, but I will recompense their way upon their head. And behold, the man clothed with linen, which had the inkhorn by his side, reported the matter, saying, I have done as thou hast commanded me. And there we have chapter 9. What in the name of all my fishes did I just read? All right, well, while Zeke is having his visions, he has a smitey one. A most smitey one indeed. And also one involving a sort of suck-uppy teacher's pet, apparently. Because honestly, in this whole book so far, this is the first time I recall anybody having been told by the Lord to go do thus and such, who's actually bothered to come back and say, I did thus and such. But this asshole did. What? What even is going on in this book? What is this man trying to communicate by what he sees? Okay, so... Okay, let me try and see if I can make sense of this. So, in his vision, because he's still visioning from last time, in his vision, he sees a whole host of men, a whole host of men with their slaughter weapons. And this one fucking guy dressed in linen with writing utensils. And the word of the Lord comes to the dude with the writing utensils. It says, I want you to go through all of Jerusalem and set a mark. What sort of mark? We don't know. On the forehead of everybody who sighs at the abomination. Now, I don't speak 1611 too good, so I don't honestly know whether in this context sigh is a good thing or a bad thing, because there's two ways you could read this, and one of them would make a lot more sense than the other in the context of this slaughter smiting that's about to happen. Because this could be read as, I sigh at the abominations in this land. Or it could be, I sigh at the abominations in this land. I better be careful. I'll get myself stricken with a smody smite from the YouTube gods. I'm not going to do that little anymore, that little vocalizing and miming anymore. It's kind of fun, though. All right. One way or the other, everybody who sighs get themselves a nice little mark by the hand of the linen-clad man. And then the slaughter smiters are sent forth to slaughter smite all of the non-men who have the mark. Old fuckers, young fuckers, little fuckers, grown fuckers, all the fuckers with the mark. Hey, Maya, welcome. Yes, someone said abomination. Said it many, many times, too. But leave the men out of it, he says. Don't slaughter smite the men. So this host of men with their slaughter weapons in their hands go forth to smite all the babies who have sighed at the abominations. The fuck is going on with this? I don't know what's going on with this book. It makes no goddamn sense to me. This makes less sense than any other thing that we've read. And what have we all read together? We have read Genesis, and we have read Numbers. Well, of course, that made perfect sense. It was just boring as shit. It was genealogies and census data and instructions for building the tabernacle. I'm not undressing. I'm just removing my big fuck-off boots so that I can sit more comfortable in my chair. And, lest we forget, the Song of Songs we have read together. That was a weird trip, wasn't it? Anybody who needs a little junk shop reading, some soft-core Bronze Age pornography in their life, the Improv Bible Study Song of Solomon playlist is linked back at the homepage somewhere. Yes, and Ann House, as Brainbug points out, back in Numbers. Yes, much talk of Ann House. A lot of that in Kings, too. But most of what we dealt with in most of those books was in the narrative. You had your occasional song, your occasional poem, your occasional vision, your occasional rhapsody. Hey, Slim, what's up, you crazy freak? Ezekiel, at least so far, has been, with very few exceptions, all vision. It's been straight up motherfucking apocalyptic literature. Visions of batshit nonsense. Remember how this opened? This book, rather, it looked like I was pointing at my face there. But this book that's over here, it opened with him sitting by the river something or other in the land of the Chaldean exile. And while he was sitting there, the Lord caught him up in a vision. And then after he was done bevisioning, he was left alone again. And then after he had another vision, he was left alone again. And then he was grabbed up by the hair of his head and whooshed off to another place to have another vision. And then he was put back down where he sat astonied for not a month, it just felt like a month, for a week. And now he's having more visions, this time of men with slaughter weapons in their hands. Slaughter weapons. If slaughter weapons is not already a band name, somebody trademark the shit out of that fast. Where do you get the good drugs in the Middle East? What? I mean, seriously, assuming this is not just Bronze Age naked lunch. Assuming this is somebody trying to record the actual somebody out there has an imagination. YouTube, I can't turn down the sex appeal. What you see is what you get. And that is a whole hell of a lot. And more than you can handle. Yes, Junkshop does have big ears. Very observant of you, Stool. All right, so I mean, if we operate under the assumption that this was written by somebody honestly trying to record his visions of what he saw, he's either, how shall I say this, mad as a hatter or high as a plane. Which one do you want to put your money on? Mad as a hatter or high as a motherfucking plane? Or both, as Lisa points out. Also possible, not beyond the veil of probability. A little of A and a little of B, suggests Slim. Yeah, maybe so. I mean, I've told y'all, at least I've alluded to it on Mental Health Thursdays. I don't know if I've talked about it at length. I don't think I have. I had, and at least one of y'all already knows. Back in the day, I had myself a lengthy what clinically they call florid episode, a period of active actual psychosis, where I was seeing shit that wasn't there, hearing shit that wasn't there. I had the voices and bugs on the walls and lost time and delusions and ideas of reference. Everything in that family I had for a rather stressful 18 months or so. And that's kind of what this smells like to me. This feels like the documentation of an untreated, aberrant mental state. And the more I think on it, the more it plays as tragedy rather than comedy. Because if this literally is some guy sitting in a corner scribbling down all the weird shit he's seen. This is not raving buck wild comedy. This is tragedy in its almost purest form. The protagonist hasn't died yet. I don't know how the book ends. And I'll wager neither do you. You'll just have to stick around with me and find out, he said, doing the world's worst Anthony Hopkins impression for no readily discernible reason. You never know what you're going to get here on the Junk Shop Library Chat. Lisa points out in non-Western cultures, excellent phrasing. Schizophrenics often serve as holy men. That's very true. That's very true. Oh, Ox, the key. The key was a gift from a very dear friend of mine, whose friendship and affection I value immensely, and also it's a great little fidgety. Slim says, if I wrote down all the effed up stuff I thought as a teen, I would have made a crazy Bible. Yeah, right? Seriously. No kidding. And in fairness, as Fran points out, in that era, certainly, I mean, for that matter, in the era of the writing of the compilation of the 1611, let alone in the Bronze Age, in that era, in Ezekiel's time, they would not know the difference between a medical condition and communication from beyond. That's an excellent point. I mean, if I'm being honest, no. No, Diana, it is not named Francis. Sorry, it took me a minute to catch up to for me to make the connection to realize what. No. Ouch. Terrible. Terrible. Y'all are killing me with the bad jokes up in here today. I wouldn't trade y'all for anything, and y'all know that. Cheers. All right. We did get the phrase slaughter weapons out of chapter 9, though, didn't we? That's a very junk shopian turn of phrase, is it not? To smite with the slaughter weapons? I'm only jealous I didn't think of it first. We've got time for one more. Ezekiel doesn't have long chapters. It's not the Book of Mormon. Yes, Junk Shop is also reading their way through the Book of Mormon. And if you want to see that frustrating debacle with all of its misogyny and racism, even more so than the King James Bible, if you could but believe it, tune back into the channel at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturdays. Yeah, has he healed from his bed sores? Right, Lisa? Yeah, because we had that weird episode in the last episode in Sunday's stream where he had to lie on his side, his left side, for over a year, and his right side for over 40 days, eating nothing but grain cakes cooked over cow dung, because he was able to talk God down from making him use human dung as fuel. I don't know, y'all. All right. Chapter 10. Then I looked, and behold, oh good, more stuff to see. And then I looked, and behold, in the firmament that was above the head of the cherubims. Hey, you remember that? That's from chapter 1. Each of these four-facety thingies that he's now deciding to call cherubs or cherubims from one chapter to the next, he can't make up his damn mind. There was a firmament. Those of you who spend, like I do, entirely too much time in the flat earth debunking community, the phrase a personal dome is rising into your mind at the moment. Behold, in the firmament that was above the head of the cherubims, there appeared over them, as it were, a sapphire stone, as the appearance of a likeness of a throne. And he spake unto the man clothed with linen, and said, Go in between the wheels, even under the cherub, and fill thine hand with coals of fire from between the cherubims, and scatter them over the city. And he went in my sight. Now, the cherubims stood on the right side of the house when the man went in, and the cloud filled the inner court. Then the glory of the Lord went up from the cherub and stood over the threshold of the house. And the house was filled with the cloud, and the court was full of the brightness of the Lord's glory. And the sound of the cherubim's wings was heard, even to the outer court, as the voice of the Almighty God when he speaketh. And it came to pass that when he had commanded the man clothed with linen, saying, Take fire from between the wheels, from between the cherubims, then he went in and stood beside the wheels. And one cherub stretched forth his hand from between the cherubims unto the fire that was between the cherubims, and took thereof, and put it into the hands of him that was clothed with linen, who took it and went out. And there appeared in the cherubims the form of a man's hand under their wings. And when I looked, behold, the four wheels by the cherubims, one wheel by one cherub, and another wheel by another cherub. And the appearance of the wheels was as the color of a beryl stone. And as for their appearances, they four had one likeness, as if a wheel had been in the midst of a wheel. When they went upon their four sides. They turned not as they went, but to the place whither the head looked, they followed it. They turned not as they went. And their whole body, and their backs, and their hands, and their wings, and the wheels were full of eyes round about, even the wheels that they four had. As for the wheels, it was cried unto them in my hearing, O wheel! And every one had four faces. The first face was the face of a cherub, and the second face was the face of a man, and the third the face of a lion, and the fourth the face of an eagle. And the cherubims were lifted up. This is the living creature that I saw by the river of Chebar. And when the cherubims went, the wheels went by them. And when the cherubims lifted up their wings to mount up from the earth, the same wheels also turned not from beside them. When they stood, these stood. And when they were lifted up, these lifted up themselves also, for the spirit of the living creatures was in them. Then the glory of the Lord departed from off the threshold of the house, and stood over the cherubims. And the cherubims lifted up their wings, and mounted up from the earth in my sight. When they went out, the wheels were also beside them, and every one stood at the door of the east gate of the Lord's house, and the glory of the God of Israel was over them above. This is the living creature that I saw under the God of Israel by the river of Chebar, and I knew that they were cherubims. Every one had four faces apiece, and every one four wings, and the likeness of the hands of a man was under their wings. And the likeness of their faces was the same faces which I saw by the river of Chebar. Their appearances and themselves, they went everyone straight forward. And there we have chapter 10. Yeah, shill away, my friend. Yeah, Brainbug may know a little bit about this nonsense. Normally when I say something is nonsense, I just mean stuff and thus and so on, but this shit, this may actually be nonsense. Ask Brainbug and Jason from Dragons in Genesis. I don't fucking know. All right, so yeah, here we go again. Says Lisa. Exactly, right? And as has already been established is the case with a not insignificant percentage of the book of Ezekiel, it's goddamn motherfucking hard to tell what the chronology is here. Because he's just bevisioning all over the place. But I think we're pretty clear on the fact that these flying critters had 4 faces, and they had many wings. Now, only now does he think to mention eyeballs everywhere. Would have been one of the first fucking things I mentioned, but what do I know? I'm no prophet of the Lord. Do you seriously wait? What did we just read? Was it chapter 10? Yes, chapter 10. Do you seriously wait 10 chapters into your recounting of your vision to notate that these 4-faced, 4-winged, straight always going forward with the spirit in the middle of the wheels within wheels gadget that floats around under your feet and goes with you wherever you go, or they go, whatever. Do you seriously wait 10 chapters to point out that this weird-ass apparition is even more weird-ass of an apparition than it would otherwise appear because of its having eyes all over its hands and its back and its wheels? Why do you wait 10 chapters to talk about the squillions of eyes? Nothing needs that many eyes. What in the name of Jehovah is with this fucking book? You don't wait. I mean, think about it. If you see something, oops, knocking shit over is junk shop. Big fucking surprise there. Okay. If you see something, nope, I'm not going to stand up before thee, because if I stand up before thee, I'm just going to be framing my nether regions nicely in the camera, and I don't, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'll get this video taken down too. If you see a critter appearing before thee with all these eyes, maybe it's a jellyfish. I didn't think jellyfish had eyes. Butterflies have a lot of eyes. Yep, so do spiders. True. It sounds, yes, Harmonica Man, it says it sounds like a Hellboy monster. You're right. You're right. That's exactly, it's a Hellboy or Constantine, one of the two. But if you see, or if you're creative fiction-y writing-y, a creature, it's got 4 faces, and it's got 4 wings, and the wings are joined 2 to 2, like the wings of dragonflies, and they're covering themselves with 2 of them and flying with 2 of the others. and they're all shiny, and they've got faces of different animals. One of those faces being the face of a cherub, whatever that fucking means, because they've got a human face and then a cherub face. What is a cherub face? I want to know. They're not going to tell us, are they? It's like what was in that envelope that goes across the table in the Hitman movie. You can sort of make an educated guess, but you don't fucking know. Here you can't even make an educated guess. It's the face of a cherub. Well, what does a cherub face look like? Well, like the face of a cherub. Well, what does that look like? Everybody knows. Everybody knows. And by the way, their spirits, their ruach, since we're still in Hebrew in this part of the Bible, their breath, their spirit, their soul, it's not within them, it's within these wheelie wheels that go about with them wherever they go. A wheel within a wheel. Like a circle in a spiral, like a wheel within a wheel. Now I'm going to get taken down for copyright. Fuck, this stream is doomed. Ten chapters later, it finally occurs to you to say that they also had hands under their wings. Or wait a minute, wings. Let's see. They had 4 wings. Those wings were joined. They covered themselves with 2 of them. They flew with the rest. And now they've got man's hands under those wings. And they're covered in eyes. They're covered in eyes. Everywhere on their backs. They've got eyeballs on their backs.
Who wants that?
I don't know. Cherubs.
Ew, creepy.
Cherubs.
Oh, it's even worse when it's something like that. Like they have eyes in the backs of their head, literally. Gah. That's why they're always naked.
Pay no attention to the cat up the street. Okay, now I begin to take issue. I was starting to come down on Jeremiah's side during the last chapter. Y'all saw it happen in real time. Because I was afraid it was really starting to feel like psychosis. Now it just feels like bad writing. And we've had bad writing before in this book. We had the book of Numbers, for the love of God. But it made me splutter. This book, it finally got to me. It took 2 years. 2 years and change. But it finally made me actually literally splutter. Hey, Paul. When did this happen? My side of the StreamYard delay, 54 minutes and 20 odd seconds ago. The stream only went live. I mean, the link to it was only just posted like an hour and 10 minutes ago. Old Junkshop's had fun with technology today. Always good to see you, man. But yeah, it's just bad writing at this point. Because there is no fucking way that if you actually hallucinated I mean, for the sake of example, take my Lucille here, all right? Don't worry, she's plastic. But if you were to hallucinate my Lucille here, or better yet, let's make it fun, me with my Lucille here, what would you say? You would say, I saw a thin, bald man. With a slaughter weapon in his hand. And you might talk about my necklace. You might talk about my weird sweater. You might talk about my big old ears. You might notice my ring. You know, and he had a chain of silver around his neck, and the silver of it was as silver as the silverness. But if you don't fairly expeditiously notice that the slaughter weapon is covered in spikes, and notate that and write it down, if you're of a mind to be talking about me and my slaughter weapon to begin with, especially if you go into so much detail as to me having big ears and a ring, you're a bad writer. Ezekiel? Zeke, you in there, buddy? Can you hear me? You're a bad writer. This is terrible. I was just starting to feel for the poor guy, but it turns out he's just another shitty writing Jehovah worshiper. Can't write for damnation. Interesting visuals. Lots of judgment of the apostate and the unbeliever. Writing, no es bueno. Smite him with a slaughter weapon. I will. Well, y'all, we're coming up on the top of the hour. And I'm about run out of mental steam. Not a bad writer, says Harmonica Man. Not a bad writer, just full of shit. Maybe. Or maybe crazy. Or maybe just a bad writer. He's covered in eyes. He's covered in eyes. How do you not notice that 10 chapters ago? Though, as Fran points out, to be fair, Fran's a big fan of fairness, apparently. Not going to let me get away with a lot of trash talking. Well, where you been the last 2 fucking years? That's all I do is trash talk. You're bringing the fairness late to the party, my friend. Writing was not a requisite for prophesying. Yeah, well, that's fair. Yeah, poor Paul. This is the third stream in like, what is it, a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, where Paul showed up and like 10 minutes later I killed the stream. It's not on purpose, I promise. Oh, man. I mean, this is really, really bad. It's weird. And it's certainly a more interesting angel than the angels of Renaissance art that we're accustomed to. Just some androgynous looking motherfucker in a pastel robe with giant fuck off dove wings. 2 of them, not 4 of them, not joined together, and not with hands under them. Ezekiel didn't write this shit, his scribe Baruch did. How did I miss that? Did I miss that? Or have we not come to that admission yet? Oh, you're going to make me do research. I hate you. Lisa's going to make me do research. Ah, humbug. I'm going to have to learn things. The word of the Lord came, chapter 1, verse 3. The word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel, the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chabar. And the hand of the Lord was there upon him. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north. See? Bad writing. Sudden jump from the third to the first person. This is Bronze Age naked lunch. It's just batshittery for the sake of it. I can say that because Naked Lunch is one of my 2 all-time favorite books, the other being the selected works of T.S. Spivak. Weirder than Joseph Smith? I don't know. At least all we had in this one was slaughter weapons and smiting. We didn't have cursing with a skin of darkness. Like we did in this garbage last week. Ah. Humbug. Ah. All right. Well, we have, I've been complaining and belly aching now for more than an hour. Bronze Age stream of consciousness. Yes, Fran's got it right on the nose. All right. Well, I do want to thank y'all for turning up tonight. I know it's significant later than we usually go, and we've gone a little longer than we usually go. And I announced and blabbered a little later than a little longer than I usually go. Still trying to get used, pardon me. Still trying to get used to the new schedule. We'll figure something out. Brainbug says Joseph Smith will give us wooden submarines. Really? Do we all live in a wooden submarine? I'm going to get this taken down for copyright. One way or the other. Nope, that's parody. Parody and not performative. What's the word I'm looking for? Transformative. Don't forget, Paul's going to be on Modern Day Debate Friday. He is going to be, yes, the submarines, everything's going to have eyes from now on. Unless it's explicitly stated that it only has the number it has, I'm just going to assume that everything has eyes all over. Like that Maroon 5 song. Hands all over, except with eyes all over. Yes, don't forget, Paul's going to be on Modern Day Debate Friday. Make sure and catch that if you can. He is going to be debating Witless Witsit about the shape of the earth. It's been a while since Witless Witsit graced our screens, and I think Paul is exactly the man to take on his interesting breed of interesting. I'm looking forward to it. And we've got a link. Hallelujah. You're the man. All right. Okay. Thank y'all for coming. Have a good night. Boil your water if you're under one of those advisories. Take care of yourselves. Try and take care of each other. As my friend Ed says. Don't be a buggin'. And as we always say before we roll out of here, because y'all know I'm not going to roll out of here on somebody else's channel closed. Everybody take care. Be safe. And stand against hate. We'll see y'all again soon. at some point.